I'm glad the ending was good. I'm glad we got to a place where we had an exciting ending. I'm ready to do this. Like that was a fun way for that game to end.
I loved the whole thing from beginning to end. And like, even with all the silliness,
it was an entertaining game. It was dumb as hell, but it was entertaining.
I just love a game that I know I'm going to remember for a long time. And I know I'm going to remember this for a long time. Phenomenal use of my 4 hours. No regrets.
We had some history in this game on multiple different levels. Jalen Hurts becomes, I think, the first player in NFL history to throw an interception and fumble on the same play, which is just a remarkable accomplishment and achievement. We have, I don't think they broke the record, but they absolutely got close. I checked it in about the third quarter. At one point, the Chargers, per Next Gen Stats, had allowed a 72% pressure rate in this game. Next Gen Stats goes back to 2016. The record from 2016 to this year was 71.3%, which was a Jimmy Garoppolo start against the Lions in 2022. It looks like the Chargers finished at 68.3% with the pressure rate.
Not quite there.
Didn't quite get there, but still feels like a monumental achievement in their own right.
And it felt like half of those were immediate unblocked pressures, like especially through the A gap, all those blitzes. Bradley Bozeman was playing. It felt like a different football game. Like it was, a lot of those were immediate pressures.
So I'd be curious to check this. I don't know the filters well enough to do it immediately. How many quick pressures would be like a record for both this season and over the last several years? According to Next Gen, the Eagles had 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 quick pressures in this game. That's hard to do for context. If you get I think a team leads the league with 130 in a given season. So that's 8 a game. So to get 12 in a single game, that's absolutely bonkers and should not be surprising at all if you watch this thing unfold.
I'm glad you brought up the history aspect of it too. I looked this up in the fourth quarter and we got another turnover, obviously, to end the game. Not even close to NFL history for turnovers, because we used to play this game with mechanics and they fumbled 18 times.
The idea of the forward pass was a miracle anytime one was completed early in the history of the sport.
But according to True Media, 8 turnovers in a game is the most since 26, or it ties for the most since 2016. So not historic, but a rare amount of turnovers for a modern NFL game.
All right, let's work backwards here and start with the last play of the game. What a play by Cam Hart on that play to end the game. That is a crazy play from a flat defender. I think they're in some version of cover 6 there. And so he's the flat defender with a cover 2 safety behind him. There is a guy in the flat and he should be held there by that route, which I think is part of the reason that Jalen Hurts is willing to let that thing go. He reads Jalen Hurts' eyes the entire way, sinks back underneath it, gets a hand on it, and it somehow turns into an interception. And so we can talk about how poorly Jalen Hurts played in this game. It's one of the worst games I think I've seen him play as a starter. He doubled his interception total for this season in this game. One of the selling points is that he does not turn the ball over. So you combine that with all the other issues this offense is facing, we're having a different conversation. But Cam Hart deserves a ton of credit for making that play because it was a wild one.
And I feel like that's such exemplary of how the Chargers defense wins, is that I think you look at some of the other best defenses around the league, right? Like the Texans defense, obviously they're well coached and really smart players, but a lot of what they do is they have insane pass rushers and just really good star play. Yes, they have star players that are just going to make star plays one-on-one. The fact that Cam Hart made this play where he's this zone defender. Again, he's playing eyes on the quarterback. He knows what he's getting from the Eagles because the Eagles like to run this flat with the corner route over it, sprint out into the boundary like this. This is one of their favorite concepts. And so for Cam Hart to know what's coming, to know that Hurts wants to make that throw, knowing that Hurts is about to get hit, if he's eyes on the quarterback, he knows that Khalil Mack is about to hit Jalen Hurts. So he knows this ball's going to come out. He can jump on his eyes, and to have the length to make that play, it was just, what a way to finish that one.
Khalil Mack had a nice game. He had 5 pressures in this game. You felt him multiple different times. And I think, on defense in the second half, I feel like the Eagles moved the ball more consistently. Obviously, you have the 50-yard Saquon Barkley run on the fake tush push. You have every game there's an A.J. Brown drive. In every Eagles game, there is an A.J. Brown drive. We got one in this game where he bullies a corner in the flat and then ridiculous release against Cam Hart on like a little glance slant that Jalen Hurts hits him on. They try to go to the deep ball with him that he can't hang on to in the corner of the end zone. But every single game, there's one drive where the Eagles realize they have A.J. Brown and throw him the ball 3 times. They usually score on those drives. But in the first half, I felt like Jesse Minter really had the shackles on the Eagles offense, and especially on third down. I just felt like all of the different plans that he had specifically on third down over the course of the first 2 quarters, it was a little bit of everything. There were some simulateds with zone pressure behind it. They had some cover 0 looks where they had droppers dropping out. I mean, 2 of the interceptions come on a cover 0 look where they drop Deshaun Hand back out and Jalen Hurts never sees him. And then the overthrow that turns into an interception on the throw to Devontae Smith, that's one where they play 2-man and it's a little bit of a funky look from them in that situation. And so that's a tight window throw that he has to sail. There was another play, I think, in the second half where they ran like a funky version of cover 2 with Derwin James in the flat when it looked like they were going to play man. And so I thought all the layers to the game plan from Jesse Minter is one of the reasons that we got one of the worst Jalen Hurts games that we've seen in quite a while.
Yeah, like I thought just them. I think Jalen Hurts is a quarterback that like you want to load the line of scrimmage as much as possible because he's the guy who's going to immediately get the ball out. I don't think he wants to hold the ball in the pocket against the blitz. And I think part of that is kind of the way he plays, but also the Eagles have not been good at picking up blitzes this year. And so if you make them feel like that's going to come and you can kind of get them guessing with some of these simulateds, I think that's a good way to do it. The Deshaun Hand interception, I think, is in some ways exemplary of like the fact that the Eagles offense is kind of broke no matter what they do. Like they actually had A.J. Brown in the slot on that play, which they don't do very often. And they had him run this little like shake route over the middle where he kind of stops, stutters, like he might go outside, and then he breaks back over the middle. Hurts is going to throw that kind of no matter what, because you're betting that this is my best receiver. We've got him in the slot here. Nobody's over the middle of the field. So we think I'm going to throw him this ball no matter what. Deshaun Hand pops right back out into that window. Like that's just very good. Understanding that if A.J. Brown is in the slot on a down like that, they're probably trying to get him the ball. And that was a really good call to kind of get him.
It's a great call about him getting rid of the ball at times faster than he needs to. I want to say there was a third down when they were in field goal range and ultimately kicked a field goal. I can't remember when in the game it happened. I think it was in the second half where they showed pressure, backed out of it. He immediately throws the ball to Devontae Smith in the flat on like a 3rd and 9 for 3 yards and they kick a field goal. And so I think that happened a lot where he was getting rid of the ball quicker than he probably needed to because of some of those pressure looks. And it really just was. And we shouldn't be surprised by this at this point, considering the state of the Eagles offense all year. But it was just another game where it felt like they were on their back foot and the defense was dictating how the game was going to go in moment after moment in high leverage situations.
Which I think the timing of that is funny because, and I know a huge chunk of it is on a very well called, very well timed fake tush push, like, right? You get 52 yards and a touchdown off of essentially a trick play. But even still, Saquon Barkley had 4 explosives in this game. And he had you have an explosive 50-yard touchdown, regardless of how you design it. 20 for 122 and 6 yards per carry. Like that's what you dream of for Saquon Barkley. That's what outside of the design of the offense and all of that good stuff, we've been saying for weeks, like, oh, if you could get the run game going the way you want to. And to be fair on that, I think the Chargers did a great job of limiting it as the game went on, but they were still able to pop things. And so to clamp down on it the way they did on a day where the Eagles were able to move the ball better or run the ball better than we've seen at times over the last month and a half, I think that makes it even more impressive.
Look at this game from Jalen Hurts just in context of his entire career. And according to Next Gen Stats, per EPA per dropback, this was the 6th worst start of Jalen Hurts' entire career. It was negative 0.42 EPA per dropback. By total EPA, it is the 4th worst start of his career, and it is the worst performance just purely by EPA per dropback since week 18 of the 2023 season. And so we have to go back quite a while, and all of the other ones essentially are from 2021. And so you have to go back quite a while to find a performance this bad statistically from Jalen Hurts. And Derek, this comes on the heels of, you expressing the fact that you don't think he's playing like a top 20 quarterback right now. When you dangle something like that out there, it always comes with the slight chance that you're going to feel real dumb, depending on how the next game goes. This performance coming on the heels of that you got in front of it in a way that I think was pretty good.
And like this performance was just the interceptions, him throwing that many interceptions is weird, right? And some of those were bad. Obviously, the second one he throws where he's a little bit high and behind AJ Brown over the middle of the field. AJ Brown should probably catch that, but also the ball should be on him sooner, and it should be a better ball. Like that, I think is kind of the issue that they had all game. The weirdest sequence to me was it was at some point in the first half, the Eagles were in the red zone and they called like a fake draw in the red zone, and then like Jalen Hurts backed up and there was nobody open and he just ends up running around doing nothing. And then the play after that, they actually have Devonta Smith running kind of like a slant under Dallas Goedert, kind of clearing it out vertically, and it's open. And Jalen Hurts just doesn't throw it, turns it down, and he ends up getting sacked, or I think he had to throw the ball away again. And it was just a lot of those, like, I can't figure out what the offense is trying to do for him. And then I also can't figure out what he's doing when the offense actually gives him a chance. Like, it was just, he played a very bizarre game overall. And I know there's going to be, we can point to like one or two AJ Brown drops, especially down the field. Like Hurts did give him a couple of chances on go balls. But outside of that, I thought it was a very bizarre game from him.
Yeah, that doesn't do enough to paper over how bad the bad was over the course of this game. In 2023, the Eagles completely bottomed out as the season went along. As we got into the playoffs, they were just in a complete disaster on both sides of the ball. The offense feels like it's arriving in that sort of moment. It's kind of strange because back then they had like one fatal flaw that you could just pick at over and over and over again. They could not pick up big blitzes and they had no answers against them. Now it feels like some of the issues are more multifaceted, but it seems like we're in a similar broken place to where we were near the end of the 2023 season. The only reason that this isn't like a sky is falling absolute disaster.
Pretty big difference on the other side of the ball.
The defense is good, right? And so the defense still has a lot of good players, and the defense tried to end Justin Herbert tonight. Like, I cannot remember a game like that. It may not be the record breaker in terms of pressure rate, but watching a quarterback that is a week removed from surgery with a huge cast on his hand get pressured on 70% of his dropbacks, get sacked 7 times, and be running for his life every single time he dropped back to pass with seemingly no schematic answers, no personnel answers, like nothing to try to solve for this. I can't really remember a lot of games like this, Derek.
I really can't either. I think what was so frustrating to me is the Nakobe Dean sack early at the end of the first quarter, actually. The Eagles are in a double 3-tech front. So they have 2 players outside of either side of the guard. So there's nobody over the middle. The only potential threat over the middle is Nakobe Dean, who is inching down as the snap is about to happen. And for whatever reason, Bradley Bozeman slides to the left with the rest of the line, blocks nobody, and Nakobe Dean just runs straight free at Justin Herbert. And that happened multiple times in this game. And so there was that on top of, like, you just had moments where guys were winning their one-on-ones, like Jordan Davis was getting pushed. Some of the edge guys were getting their run. Nakobe Dean had a number of other pressures where he had one where he absolutely nuked Omarion Hampton in pass.
Oh my God.
That play was
awesome.
That play was incredible. Like,
welcome to the NFL, my guy.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, Omarion Hampton, like, one of the things coming out of college for him was like, oh, he's a good pass protector. But when you run into a little missile man like Nakobe Dean, sometimes, yeah, like you said, it's a little bit of a welcome to the NFL moment. And so you had all of those. And I thought the funniest part was Justin Herbert, on one hand, at some point in like the third quarter, it felt like he decided, I don't even want to sit back here anymore. I'm just going to take off. And like the offense actually kind of started doing something. Like,
it was the only thing they had. It was the only thing they had.
The schematic answer was for Justin Herbert to carry the ball more than he has in any game this season. 10
Is that
carries.
true?
Yes, I'm looking at it.
He was their leading rusher.
That's crazy.
He had 9 in week 2 and against the Titans a while back, but 10 is his most on the year.
When they were driving at the end of regulation to tie the game, I kept saying, like, he has to run. Like, that's the only answer they're going to have. He scrambles for that 7 yards. They have the design. He has a scramble on 3rd and 4, and then they have the design keeper on the next play.
Pulling out the read option keeper, Greg Roman.
Truly a sign that you have no answers.
I love it.
You have absolutely nowhere else to turn. And he missed a couple throws over the course of this game. You cannot play quarterback when you are getting pressured 75% of the time. Your entire like decision-making mechanism starts to short circuit because you just assume there's going to be somebody in your lap immediately on every single play. And I know that the offensive line is absolutely shredded. And even in this game, they lose Trey Pipkins. Now Bobby Hart is out there. But when you combine the personnel concerns with having absolutely no plan for how to pick up a simulated pressure, which is exactly what happened over the course of this game, you land in the place the Chargers landed tonight, which, to be completely honest, like we can joke about it, it's unacceptable. Like it is unacceptable to put that level of pass protection on the field, whether your quarterback is a week removed from wrist surgery or not.
And let me ask you guys this really quick. Obviously, we're talking about mostly the offensive line, defensive line, all the pressure. How many times did you see an open receiver in this game?
No, very rarely.
Like almost never.
The secondary for the Eagles, Cooper DeJean was amazing in this game.
Best slot corner in the league. That dude is unbelievable, man. Like he had a game.
When a DB, and he did this a couple times, like when the DB doesn't even look bothered by the incoming ball. Like there was one down the seam. I don't remember who he was defending.
It was McConkey.
He just booped it away. He looked like comfortable as you please. He ran
step for step with McConkey, like 45 yards across the field to defend that ball.
He did that twice.
He did that multiple times. On the play where I think it was Keenan Allen and Trey Harris run into each other and fall down, it's because he reroutes one of those guys so hard into the other that they fall down multiple different times. He's disrupting timing physically. Like he had a crazy game. Nakobe Dean had a crazy game. Jalen Phillips had 4 quick pressures in this game. And I do think that the state of the Chargers offense overall, and especially the state of the offensive line, makes this possible. But the Eagles defense is good enough to keep them in some of these disgusting games.
I'm not going to second guess Herbert too hard considering everything he was working against, but I would bet there's no way all 7 of those sacks are like pure protection breakdowns. Like
no, he's hanging onto the ball because he's trying to do something.
Yeah, there were coverage sacks in that game, and the Eagles plastered the Chargers receiver core throughout the night. It was up until that crazy Cam Hart play, I'm sitting there thinking like the Eagles are gonna win this game despite everything. They're gonna drive down and score a touchdown, and the defense will be largely responsible for it, even if the offense had the game-winning drive. That's what it felt like right up until Cam Hart and Tony Jefferson stole their soul.
I think it'd be really easy to sit there and say, like, why would you have him out there? Why would he be playing in this game with the state of the offensive line? Like you're setting up, you're asking for trouble by doing that. They needed to win this game. Like if you look at the Chargers schedule after this game, their final 4 games are against the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Texans, and the Broncos. If they lost this game and they go to 8-5, you could easily imagine losing 3 of those 4 games. I mean, those are not games where they're going to be favored by much, if at all. And so if you lose 4 out of your last 5, there's a chance that you miss the playoffs. And if Justin Herbert does not play quarterback in that game, I don't think they score. Like, I don't even know how they get like a dozen first downs over the course of that game if he does not play. The toughness, the playmaking, the scrambling, like every aspect of what he brought to the table in this game is right there at the center of why the Chargers even had a shot to win this thing.
There are like 3 other quarterbacks who could do what he did in this game. Like I'm with you. If you put even a quality league average quarterback onto that team, they probably don't score any points. Like that's how bad I felt like they were outmatched in this game. And so for him to do what he did, to me, it really is the toughness. Like the fact that he doesn't look rattled really, like obviously there's a couple of plays where he's maybe getting a little bit antsy and trying to do something because he has to, it's late in the down, all that stuff. But overall, it just never feels like he's out of control, even though he's obviously fighting uphill on an unbelievable level on basically every snap. And so the fact that he did that with one hand, like I said, basically at some point in the third quarter decided he was going to fully take the game into his hands and ended up winning it. Like he's a remarkable player, man. It's really frustrating that every year it seems like they have to do at least a stretch of this, if not for like most of the season that he has to play like this.
And I understand that some of this is driven by not only the offensive line injuries they've had recently, but the fact that Rashawn Slater's been out for the entire season. Joe Alton has missed a ton of time, but the state of the interior, I know they're banged up, but you came into the season with a group that probably wasn't good enough and has been part of the problem for way too long. And again, I think the pass protection plan, independent of the talent, continues to be an issue. Like, even with some backups, you should still be able to at least put up some sort of fight. Like, you shouldn't be giving up a 70% pressure rate with 12 quick pressures, no matter who you're trotting out there.
I hear you, but isn't there a line of demarcation?
No.
When Trey Pipkins is your third tackle,
I still think,
and he goes out of this game,
I still think there are ways to mitigate it better than they did tonight and better than they have. The Eagles blitzed 5 times.
I mean, I want to argue this point harder, because I think after a certain point, loss of personnel just becomes too big to overcome, especially against a talented defense. But to go back to Derek's point about Nakobe Dean, like, every time he blitzed, it was just a free run at the quarterback.
Yes,
like,
and that's the issue.
There's got to be, there's got to be a way around that.
It's not just the guys losing one-on-ones to opposing defensive linemen. The fact that you have no plan, and the 5 blitzes, that doesn't account for simulated pressures. They ran a ton of simulated pressures. Like, they have no plan for how to pick this stuff up, despite the fact that they have a veteran center. Like, where the state of affairs and what it looks like, just in terms of the mechanics of it, is a serious problem, even independent of the talent.
So that's the issue to me, and where I think I agree with you. Like, on one hand, I'm with Dave on the tackles. Like, when you're down to your 4th guy out there, and you had 2 superstar left and right tackles, like, that part of it.
That's barely the issue, though.
But that's the thing. The interior, like, these are the guys they wanted out there. Zion Johnson, Mekhi Becton, Bradley Bozeman. Like, these are the guys they wanted out there from week 1. And so the fact that they were struggling.
Zion didn't play tonight, right?
Oh, maybe not. Sorry.
Did he not?
No, he did play.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was confused. I thought that was. I was mistaking another backup offensive lineman that was in the game in that point.
Which, again, given the state of the offensive line for the Chargers for basically
you're
the entire
right.
time
It was the extra plays with
Penning.
It was the extra plays with Penning as the 6th offensive lineman where I was in my mind. But the fact that the interior, even more to my point, the fact that the interior is the 3 you brought into the season is even worse.
That's the 3 you're supposed to have.
Yeah, it's just absolutely brutal. And the fact that they won this game again is a testament to Justin Herbert and to the defense.
Cameron, can we just give him some love?
Yeah, absolutely.
He 5 of 5 on the night, and Jake Elliott misses one of his 5. Wild to think. I mean, obviously, so much more goes into it, but Cameron Dicker, 5 of 5. Elliott misses from 48. Dicker, the game-winning points were from 55 too. Or was
I think it was 54. Banged it home.
Yeah,
it was no problem whatsoever.
Phenomenal night for him.
I mean, it's the fact that we've arrived at this place with both of these teams is a little bit frustrating, but at least we got an entertaining one. The last thing I want to mention, as we're talking about Justin Herbert, the throw across his body, moving to his left to Trey Harris in the first half is just an absolutely disgusting, like, get the fuck out of here play.
I said this in our Discord. I'm not good enough at this to do it, and I apologize. But if you're good at the internet, if you're good at editing software, I want a super cut of Justin Herbert's throws where somebody is just like draped around his waist. Like the number of times he does that shit. I mean, for his career, but even just this season, which I just realized Jalen Phillips he already played Jalen Phillips this year and made an insane throw with Jalen Phillips hanging off his hip in that game. I don't know if Phillips was after him on that throw, but it's funny to be terrorized by him against Miami like 2 months ago and look across the line and be like, we're doing this again. Okay.
All right. That is all we've got for tonight. We encourage you guys to check out the Week 14 Hangover with me and Derek. We broke down the Commanders and the Vikings and also the Browns and the Titans. So please check that out if you have not. That'll be available on the YouTube channel, I think at 12 p.m. Central tomorrow, and is available if you're listening to this on Tuesday morning, wherever you get your podcasts right now. For now, that is all we've got. Appreciate you guys listening. We'll talk to you soon.